Before infinite and 100,000 aeons ago, arose in this world Dipankara Buddha. At that time, our present Buddha lived by the name of Sumida, an ascetic who attained 8th absorption samadhi. When he met Dipankara Buddha, he knew that if he be taught Vipassana, he will become Arahat then and there, but then he realized it would liberate himself only. So he took a specious vow in his mind that he be also become Buddha like Dipankara, so that he could help many beings to get liberation. This noble aspiration came into fruition 2,500 years ago in India, and he took his last birth in royal family of Sakya kingdom by the name of Prince Siddhartha. At the young age of 16, Siddhartha was married to Yasodhara, a beautiful princess. Until the age of 29, he lived the life of a householder amidst great luxury and ease. One day, he saw a decrepit old man, then a sick man, then a dead body. These incidents made a distinct impression on him. He began reflecting on the misery inherent in existence. At the same time, he felt drawn to renounce the world and seek a way of liberation. Princess Yasodhara bore a son that day. Siddhartha saw the event as a bondage, and the same night he went out of the palace and cut off his hair and became an ascetic. First he met the spiritual teachers such as Alara Kalama and Uddaka Ramaputta, and learned from them 7th and 8th deep absorption concentrations that were practiced at that time. Despite this practice, Siddhartha wasn't satisfied. Although his mind was more calm and peaceful, purified to a great extent, still at the deepest level of his mind there remained latent defilements. His mind was not totally pure. At this stage in his search, he proceeded to Uruvela. There he practiced rigorous austerities along with 5 other monks. By fasting, he was reduced to a mere skeleton, yet total purification still eluded him. At this moment, he remembered how he was practicing Anapana meditation while he was a child, and planned to try that method because no other technique remained which he had not tried. So he decided to take food again, and was offered rice gruel by Sujata, a young maid living nearby. At this point, his 5 companions left him, as they were still convinced that the path of self-mortification led to enlightenment. Siddhartha continued on alone. Within 14 days of Anapana, he perfected right samadhi. On the full moon day of Visakha, he sat down with a strong determination under Bodhi tree, not to leave until he attains enlightenment. He spent that night in deep meditation, exploring the truth within, and rediscovered the long-lost technique of Vipassana and became known as Gautama Buddha. After enlightenment, Buddha spent 7 weeks under different trees, enjoying Nibbanic peace within, and on last day, 2 merchants, Tapusa and Balika from Myanmar, came and offered food, and Buddha took it, and it has become the first food offered to Buddha. Buddha gave them 8 hair relics, which they took to Myanmar, and erected pagoda, which is now known as Great Shwedagon Pagoda in present-day Yangon. The newly rediscovered path of liberation by Buddha has opened new era in spiritual awakening in India, and Buddha taught it to his first 5 disciples, and eventually it spread throughout Indian subcontinent, benefiting many millions of beings. In order to teach Vipassana to others, Buddha has delivered many sermons for 45 years of his ministry, explaining theory which is now known as Tipitaka. The practical aspect of Buddha's teaching is Vipassana meditation, and theoretical aspect is Tipitaka, which is both could be labeled as 2 invaluable jewels of Buddha, which he taught for the benefit of humanity. In the 3rd century BC, the Emperor Ashoka sent enlightened monks to many countries worldwide with a mission of peace and harmony where they spread pure teachings of Buddha. Arhants named Sona and Uttara were sent to Myanmar. But due to human error, many countries including India lost purity of teaching, but only Myanmar preserved both theory and practice of Buddha's teaching till now in its purity. The great teachers of Vipassana, starting from Arhant Sona and Uttara, benefited enormously by the practice of Vipassana themselves and kept its purity for millennia, and were so grateful to them. Because of their tireless effort, today humanity is able to practice Vipassana and get maximum benefit like during days of Buddha. The lineage of great Vipassana teachers beginning from Buddha himself and through Sana and Uttara Arhants continued for 2,200 years in Myanmar, and last well-known teachers Venerable Ledi Sayadaw, who was well-versed not only in theory but also in practice of Vipassana, who opened gate of Vipassana to laymen of modern age in order to spread Vipassana throughout the world. The Venerable Ledi Sayadaw was born in 1846 in a village of Maniva district of northern Burma. In his village, he attended the traditional monastery school where monks taught children to read and write in Burmese as well as recite Pali text. At the age of 8, he began to study with his first teacher, and he was given the name Nanadaja. During those days, he would routinely study the written texts during the day and join the monks in recitation from memory after dark. Working this way, he mastered the Abhidhamma texts. At the age of 20, on April 20, 1866, he took the higher ordination to become a fully ordained monk. In 1867, just prior to the monsoon retreat, monk Nanadaja left the Maniva district in order to continue his studies in Mandalay. Mandalay was the royal capital of Burma and the most important center of learning in the country. He resided primarily in the Mana Jyotikarma monastery and studied with Wen Sangkyang Sayadaw, a teacher who was famous in Burma. During this time, the Wen Sangkyang Sayadaw gave an examination of 20 questions for 2,000 students. Monk Nanadaja was the only one who was able to answer all the questions satisfactorily. During this time of his studies in Mandalay, King Min Dongming sponsored the Fifth Council, calling bhikkhus from far and wide to recite and purify the Tipitaka. The council was held in Mandalay in 1871, and the authenticated texts were carved into 729 marble slabs that stand today, each slab housed under a small pagoda at the foot of Mandalay Hill. At this council, monk Nanadaja helped in the editing and translating of the Abhidhamma texts. He remained there 8 more years, teaching and continuing his own scholastic endeavors until 1882 when he moved to Maniva. At that time, Maniva was a small district center on the east bank of the Chindwin River, which was renowned as a place where the teaching method included the entire Tipitaka, rather than selected portions only. To teach Pali to the monks, he would come into town to monastery during the day, but in the evening he would cross the Chindwin River and spend the night in meditation in a small cave. When he had been in the Ledi monastery for over 10 years, his main scholastic works began to be published and gained a reputation as one of the most learned monks in Burma. Though Ledi Sayadaw was based at the Ledi Taya monastery, at times he traveled throughout Burma, teaching both meditation and scripture. He is indeed a rare example of a monk who was able to excel in the theory of Dhamma as well as in the practice of Dhamma. By 1911, his reputation both as a scholar and meditation master had grown to such an extent that the British government of India, which also ruled Burma, conferred on him the title of Agamaha Pandita, foremost great scholar. He was also awarded a doctorate of literature from the University of Rangoon. At the age of 73, he became blind and devoted the remaining years of his life exclusively to meditating and teaching meditation, and he died in 1923 at the age of 77. One of his foremost students was Sayateji, who was a former and first lay teacher who received his blessings to teach Vipassana meditation. Sayateji was born in the farming village of Phya Begi, 8 miles south of Rangoon in 1873. He was given the name Maung Pathet. Maung Pathet married when he was about 16 years old, as was customary. The couple had 2 children, a daughter and a son. This rustic peace and happiness was shattered when a cholera epidemic struck the village in 1903, and Uthet's son and young teenage daughter died in his arms. This affected Uthet deeply, and he asked permission from his wife to leave the village in search of the deathless. Uthet wandered all over Burma in a fervent search, visiting mountain retreats, and went to Maniva to practice with the Venerable Ledi Sayadaw. He stayed with Lady Sayadaw for 7 years practicing meditation. He finally went back to his village, but did not return to his former householder's life. Lady Sayadaw had advised him at the time of his departure to work diligently to develop his concentration and wisdom, so that eventually he could begin to teach meditation. Accordingly, he went straight to the rest house at the edge of the family farm, which they began to use as a Dhamma hall. Here he meditated continuously. Uthet started teaching Anapana to a group of about 15 people in 1914 when he was 41 years old. His listeners found his talk so learned that they refused to believe that Uthet had very little theoretical knowledge of Dhamma. In about 1915, after teaching for a year, Uthet went to Maniva to pay respects to Lady Sayadaw, who was then about 70 years old. When Uthet told his teacher about his meditation experiences and the courses he had been offering, Lady Sayadaw was very pleased. The next day, Lady Sayadaw summoned all the monks of his monastery and then told the gathering monks, "Take note, all of you. This layman is my great pupil Upathet from Lower Burma. He is capable of teaching meditation like me. Those of you who wish to practice meditation, follow him." Uthet then taught Vipassana meditation to about 25 monks learned in the scriptures. It was at this time that he became known as Sayateji. It was widely believed in Burma that he was an Anagami Sayateji. For 30 years he taught meditation to all who came to him, guided by his own experience and using Lady Sayadaw's manuals as a reference. By 1945, when he was 72, he had fulfilled his mission of teaching thousands. He trained many teachers to carry on the mission to spread Dhamma, and foremost of all was Sayaji Ubakin. Ubakin was born in 1899 in Yangon during the British colonial rule. In March 1917, he passed the final high school examination, winning a gold medal as well as a college scholarship. Family pressures forced him to discontinue his formal education to start earning money. His first job was with a Burmese newspaper called The Sun, but after some time he began working as an accounts clerk in the office of the Accountant General of Burma. In 1926, he passed the Accounts Service examination given by the provincial government of India. In 1937, when Burma was separated from India, he was appointed as the first Special Office Superintendent. In that same year, in January 1937, Ubakin met a student of Sayateji, who was disciple of the renowned master Lady Sayadaw, who taught him Anapanasati, meditation taught by the Buddha. When Bakin tried it, he experienced good concentration, which impressed him so much that he resolved to complete a full course in Vipassana meditation that Teji offered at a center he had established for that purpose. Accordingly, Ubakin applied for a 10-day leave of absence and set out for Teji's teaching center. Ubakin progressed well during this first 10-day course and continued his practice during frequent visits to his teacher's center and meetings with Teji whenever he came to Rangoon. In 1941, a seemingly happy incident occurred which was to be important in his life. While on a government business in Upper Burma, he met by chance Vebu Sayadaw, a monk who was widely recognized as an arahant who urged him to teach. On 4th January 1948, the day Burma gained independence, Ubakin was appointed the first Accountant General of the Union of Burma. In 1950, he founded the Vipassana Association of the Accountant General's Office, where lay people, mainly employees of that office, could learn Vipassana meditation. In 1952, the International Meditation Center was opened in Rangoon, 2 miles north of the Shwedagon Pagoda. Here, many Burmese and foreign students received instruction in the Dhamma from Ubakin. He was also active in the planning for the 6th Buddhist Council known as Chatta Sanghayana, which was held in 1954 to 56 in Yangon. Ubakin finally retired from his outstanding career in government service in 1967. From that time until his premature death in 1971, he stayed at the International Meditation Center in Burma teaching Vipassana. One of his foremost disciples was Goenka, who fulfilled the dream of his teacher, spreading Vipassana far and wide throughout the world. Born on 30th January 1924 in the city of Mandalay to Indian parents, Goenka grew up in a conservative Hindu household. He was a successful businessman when in 1955 he started experiencing severe debilitating migraines. He was unable to find medical relief, and on the suggestion of a friend, he met the Vipassana teacher Sayaji Obakin. Though initially reluctant, Obakin took him on as a student. His illness was cured, but in this course he found the lost, invaluable jewel of India. Goenka subsequently trained under him for 14 years. In 1969, Goenka was authorized to teach by Obakin. He left his business to his family and moved to India, where he started teaching Vipassana meditation. 7 years later, in 1976, he opened his first meditation center, Dhammagiri. He taught meditation on his own until 1982 and then started training assistant teachers. He established the Vipassana Research Institute at Dhammagiri in 1985. Today, Vipassana courses in the tradition of Sayaji Obakin are held at 302 locations in 120 countries, of which about 170 are permanent Vipassana meditation centers, and also children's and prison courses are held in many countries worldwide. Goenka laid the foundation of the 325 feet high global Vipassana pagoda near Gorai Beach in Mumbai, which opened in 2009 and has relics of Buddha and a meditation hall where 10,000 people can meditate together. He passed away on 29 September 2013 at his home in Mumbai. Goenka trained about 1,600 assistant teachers worldwide to conduct courses using his recordings, and many hundred thousands of people attend them each year, and Dhamma is continuing to spread far and wide for the benefit of many, fulfilling Dhamma mission of Guruji.